Right guys, there are 3 things that really aggravate me about kenjutsu. And I'm going to be honest with you, these 3 points tend to come from not only people who are not my enemies, they are sort of considered on my side. Not only that, they come from people who are actually within my inner circle, if you like. And I'm going to tell you those 3 things, so stay with me. If I apparently chat to you in an interesting way for over 1 minute, the algorithm will say, well done, they followed you, so keep with it and let's go. But anyway, so I've been doing a lot of kenjutsu recently and putting a lot of posts up, and people keep saying there are 3 things that really sort of, you know, oh Anthony, you're doing this and this is sloppy and you shouldn't be doing this. And I absolutely hate that. And those 3 things are be offline from the attack. You've got to be offline. So when somebody attacks, you have to be offline. The other one is the angle of how you step, how far the angle matters. And the other one, which nobody really talks about, which is my personal gripe, is actually the finishing position of somebody else when you're doing a kata. And by it could be hema, could be this. By that I mean a form that you practice together. Nobody ever looks at the finishing position of the person who is being struck. So number 1, and I get this all the time, you're too close to their centre line. You've got to be off centre line because the enemy's going to be coming in. That is nonsense, because for 2 reasons. One is you can override someone's attack. If you look at Miyamoto Musashi's Gori no Sho, and I'm sure it's in many other places, and any HEMA lads out there, tell me what you think. If you look at his second fundamental, and I checked this morning just to double check the Alex Bennett translation, and it's you stand waiting for them, they are waiting for you, they attack you, and you literally cut through, you drive through it, and if they can defend your sword, you come back and cut up, okay? But Miyamoto Musashi himself is, depending on the translation, they all say the same, the enemy attacks and you cut through him, but you know, depends how you want to word your English. But in the main thing is, somebody comes to attack you, crush through them. Just your force is you strengthen up your force and you push through them. So I've been looking into the medieval of our Pulgas manual, which is the earliest European tradition one, about the buckler. And a buckler shield is only tiny, but the point is, if you can push that sword off by even the slightest angle, then it will be out of your way. So Musashi is saying push through and the angle changes, no problem. Okay, so that's the bloody hell, what's going on out there? I think we've got a skip being delivered. So that's the first one. You do not have to be off the line of attack. That is utter nonsense. Line of attack, if somebody comes down 100% from behind like that, and you get off and you want to get off their line of attack and you're out of the way, that's fine. But if you parry them, which is part of swordsmanship, that's absolutely fine. You parry them across. But what if their angle of attack is slightly different? So if their angle of attack is diagonal, you can get off that line all you want. Sorry, I did want to film this with someone, but I have no bloody sword training partner here, and my wife has had to go for my girlfriend has had to go for a hospital appointment today, so a checkup. So basically, if you cut in diagonally down, I'd have to step about half a meter away to get off that line of attack. So if somebody comes down and turns, I have to be, that means every time they go to cut with their sword, I've got to be, say, 70 to 80 centimeters away to get away from their blade. So they come to attack and I've got to, so that'd mean I would be jumping like this all over the place every time they attacked. Or you parry. So when people say to me, Anthony, you've got to get out of the line of attack. No, you really don't. In fact, that would probably be a stupid thing to do most of the time, because they only need to change it slightly and you're a dead man because you got out of the line of attack. You need to be able to block parry, or block parry and move off the line of attack, or move off the line of attack and attack them at the same time, which is my next one. So this is the angle off, yeah? I got asked by, I'm sure he's not going to mind me saying, but Amory, and he's the guy who helps me with the Korean to Japanese stuff, and he said, well, we recently did the Spanish thing. Sorry about that, guys. We recently did the Spanish thing where, and the guy, what I'll do is I'll do the video so you can see it here.
Now look at so this level here, the leg is 30 degrees back or whatever, and then I show mine. Now mine, basically, I get offline. Watch the shoulder, I move slightly to one side, see there, and off the shoulder, so they hit the shoulder, then I move out. So the shoulder is the target. Now if they come down at me at any angle whatsoever, this entire technique doesn't work. It only works if they come from an above angle, for any of the ways between either me, Lewis, or the others. So I want you to realise that I am getting off the angle by a slight amount, but the main issue here is I'm going to cut his hand off and push his sword out of the way, or both, basically. Hopefully his hand.
Right. So the in short, guys, if the sword is coming down straight, it doesn't matter if I am an inch out, yeah, or if I'm a foot out, or my angle has changed. Nothing changes. So if I change my angle, all that has to happen in a sword fight is somebody hits your hand, and your hand comes off, and blood spurts everywhere in the world, and you're literally going like that, yeah, and you're not carrying on the fight. That's the end of it. That's the end of the fight. I don't care what you say. Your hand's off. Your right hand is going, left hand gone. You're on the last minute of your life. Even if you carry on, the person has to just parry, block, run away, and you're just going to start. But eventually, you're going to go down. So that bit annoys me. So the angle that you turn to is irrelevant, because as long as you turn off enough that it misses you, or enough that you can parry and let it miss you, it doesn't matter. You can turn all you want, because it's like that's how an axis works, like that. Whatever is, so we've got an axis, and then you've got a certain thing that sticks out. Whatever sticks out the furthest, you can't pull your shoulder in anymore. Your shoulder's where it is. So if your central thing is your axis, and you literally twisting it out of the way, as long as that clears it, you are clear. Because it doesn't matter, because the next thing is, oh, you're so close they could turn and cut you. But unless you're out of 60 centimetres range, 70 centimetres range, the end of their sword is going to cut you anyway. So I could be this close, and they come down, I angle out, and they cut down, I miss me, and then they cut up and kill me, yeah? That's the point of having your own sword, to stop them doing that. And to stop, if they came to cut back, I would have to do this. When they attacked, I would have to go and move this way to stop the cut. And then they come to cut me again, and I'd have to jump to cut. A swordsman can always cut down and come back up, yeah? So this idea that I have to move the angle wider doesn't get away from the basic fact that that sword, oh my god, this noise.
Farmers were delivering farm machinery, guys. That's what the noise in the background.
So, right, to recap, guys, sorry we keep getting interrupted by farmers. You don't have to be off line of attack. You just, bloody hell, can you hear that? You don't have to be off line of attack, you push through them, yeah? And then there's not a separate movement where you get off line of attack and don't do that. You get off the line of attack and you either hit them or push them out of the way. And so they're attacking, you come off line of attack just in case you don't think you can take the force, or and you just deflect it. So you're either stronger than them, you push them over, or they come in and you push them off, yeah? Now the other one is the finishing position. So when I did this, the video that has got sparked this question about the Ito Ryodan, I move the shoulder forward and I turn round. The actual, I am coming off the line, I'm over switching my feet, to be honest. It doesn't say that in the text. It says you should step in when the minute he stands, step in. So there are other terms for foot switching. So I've probably blended them too close together, but it doesn't matter. The point is, you go down, you turn and cut them. The actual end position in the kata is people just stand there and you cut them, and that's it. You just stand there and the sword is there, and then people in dojos go, yes, the sword missed you, you were off the centre line. I promise you, if I swip feet and move and then cut your wrists in half, your sword is not there. So if I'm going and that cut is coming down, but it's going to go clang, most likely the sword will spatter about and you might get a scratch on your face, or you might get an eye taken out if you're really unlucky. But the point is like me and Masashi says, it's not, oh, sorry, let me get this right. It really annoys me when dojo culture do swordsmanship with zero risk. They say, well, this is risky, so I would never do this. Somebody's trying to murder you with a weapon. You are going to probably get injured. And you're going to, at least at minimal level, get cut or cut up or have stitches and cut. You're in a knife fight. I know you're in a sword fight, but you go to a knife fight, don't expect to come out and go, "How about you, sir? You see my angle of attack was quite good. Clink, clink, clink." No, at all. No wounds. You're like, really? You're going to be bleeding, bloody, people of fingers missing, because this is a violent fight between bladed weapons. And this idea where people sit in their dojos and go, this is a 22.5 and one of my friends has said this, angle, no, get out of the way, push them out of the way, over push them, and always remember at the end, when you've hit them, they are gonna be in a different position. So every time we do martial arts, if you ever look at my books, when I've done the martial arts in books photographs, I always make sure the person who is sat up is doing something crazy like this, because they're in a lock. I never have them doing this, or they've been hit in the face. I always have them, dramatically like that. And I'm sometimes the opposite person. I tend to like to be the opposite person in my pictures, because I can do crazy finger sort of like moves like this, and that's what I tend to do. So in Itoriodan, when you move out of the way of that sword, you're going to cut through the wrist of the person, and they are going to be doing that. What is the answer to being cut through the wrist? It's probably this, and your sword tip will probably go up as you go, or you're going to have a because the shock is doing that. The shock is going to go click, yeah. And even if it cuts right through, it's not going to be like Muramasa blade. You're going to be like crack, cut, and that blade is going to be going up tip. And then it's a different situation. That is where you go from, and you've pretty much won the fight. Then you can either back off and let them start bleeding out, or you fought like Yagyu Shinkagyu says, once you've made that strike, bang, 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 bang. So this idea, so Yagyu Shinkagyu openly says, if you've landed a strike, hit 5 more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think it's 5, not 3, but it's either 3 or 5. Bang, 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 bang. So it's like Ito Ryodan. Are you ready? Here's my shoulder. Cut, bang, 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 bang. It doesn't matter what you do. Like that. The guy's bleeding from his half a hand hanging off, and the next thing it's like cut, 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 cut. It's like cut. You know what I mean? You're like, Jesus Christ. And then head off at the very end. Yep. Or stab through. Take your time. But it's make that cut, small cut, which affects their body and puts them off the curve. Down they go. So that is. So when people say to me, you must be off the line of attack, Anthony, and you must finish at a 22-degree angle, or what is it? Lewis was at 30 degrees and you were at 10 degrees. I think, come on, guys. Now, what I want to say is, a lot of people might say, well, Anthony, you're always disagreeing with people. And I do, to be honest, disagree with people quite a lot, because sometimes we have, I'm going to call it mass hypnosis. We have dojo mass hypnosis. Let's make that a new term. Where, because 100,000 people in the world are doing it today, it must be right. Because 1 million people in the world are doing it today, it must be right. No, not really. Because of those 1 million people, none of them have done sword fights. None of them have been in a situation where they aggressively fight with swords at each other. And at the most, they do, well, like what I did, was the spar with metal swords, where, to be honest, it's just, did you hit me? Did you not? It's like, they're so padded, it's like, I sort of felt something, or was I hit? You're going to know you're hit if somebody cuts your hand off. It might take a fraction of a second or whatever, but your body's going to adjust to such a substantial hit. Not always. We know people have been shot and carried on, but let's be honest, if somebody hits you in the wrist with an iron bar, it's going to change the stance in which you're at, okay? That's my point. So the 3 things I hate about kenjutsu practice is people say you have to get off the line. No, you don't. Openly, kenjutsu manuals talk about pushing through the line. Secondly, is you have to really change your angle. That angle has nothing to do. It's about your fulcrum. It's about your axis here. If your axis, which is your leg or your shoulder or your centre of body, depending on your stand, is where it is and you've not moved, it doesn't matter what degree you're at. That sword is either coming down on your face or on your shoulder, or it's not. So it is or it isn't coming down. No matter what angle I pick, yeah, it's going to cut it. Because I have a fulcral point there, a central point. If I am in there spinning on that angle, it will cut. So it doesn't matter what angle I have. If I get out of the way and that sword comes down, so I'm trying to do this in reverse, get out of the way, it doesn't matter what angle I'm doing, unless the angle makes me put my hand in, but it doesn't. We're talking about the angle of the foot going backwards and me coming off it. It doesn't matter. I can be off 1 degree, 2 degrees. There is a moment where you're no longer off. So you're letting that sword come down and I'm going to attack it. There's a moment where maybe if I'm slightly moving my shoulder out of the way by 3 degrees, it's not enough. If it's 5 degrees, it might be enough. If it's 100 degrees, it might need 180. In fact, kenjutsu in the old days was pretty much side on for this reason, that you're going to get a shoulder caught. So in Yagyu Shinkagyu, it's side on and you're moving out of the way. So as long as you clear that line, you're clear, so it doesn't matter. Anyway, you get the point. So, and the second one is, People talk about the finishing. Oh, look, his blade was there. You know, when you finished, you were so close to the blade. I promise you, if I hit him on his hand with a katana, he is not going to finish in his perfect kenjutsu stance. It annoys me. Finish your kenjutsu stance. Zanshin. Pseudo crap from Japan. Hom, bom, 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 bom. No, no, no. You're going to just, no. Bang! Blood. Smash. 2, 3, 4, 5. Down. Stamping on his head, yeah? I love it when we read old manuals, and the old manuals from before the dojoification of kenjutsu, and it's like especially Mubyoshi Ryu. Mubyoshi Ryu is like, he calls it the fangs or the 8 fangs, like literally biting people's wrists, headbutting them, biting noses, biting wrists, and he's like smashing their heads off things, and he's like, and this is 1675, and by the time you get to 18 something, it's like, there's a geometric angle to do, and this geometric angle, and this, and you're like, oh my god, people think fights actually happen like that. And of course this happens in the West as well, where you get these, and I would like to know the angles. I have a question for the HEMA guys. You know, all these like angles, these angles of attack and angles of this and angles of parrying and all that, does that exist in the early manuals like Talhofer, or is it literally just like, get out of the way? And now, guys, please don't mistake me. If anybody puts in the comments here and they say, Anthony doesn't believe, I do believe there's angles in sword fights, I do, but I don't think it's as simple as I'm on a fulcrum and I rotate this much and the blade will miss me and that's the end of the fight and then we go back to bowing. No is the answer to that. No. So I hope that helps, guys. I did want to film, and I might do a part 2 to this. I might make this part 1, and I will film with my girlfriend part 2. But it is leathering down with rain, and she's had to go for her hospital checkup things, which is, you know, just standard stuff. So let me know what you think in the comments below.